first we gotta take a look at what we got coming up right now. Maybe an old favorite or two. Why don't we take it over to our match to see who we got on camera today?
Yeah, we wind up having Akira on the right-hand side. You might be a little familiar with him. He is playing his basically go-to deck in Boros Tokens, or the Boros Caretaker's talent deck, going up against Edward, a newcomer to the stream, who is playing one of our favorite decks, Mono Black Waste Not. Let's go.
Yeah, so if y'all didn't know, which I'm sure y'all know at this point if you're common watchers of the stream, both Tom and I play Waste Not a lot, especially when it was a little bit more meta-defining. Right now it's not. Right now it's been a little bit on the back burner given how aggressive the meta is. However, going up against Akira's deck here, that's much grindier and much more controlling. The Waste Not deck's focus on resource denial should be able to get a lot of work done because, you know, you're going to be breaking parity on all these, all of the mutual discard effects, whether it's through your Gyri Sanitarium, through your Liliana of the Veil, and then also just, you know, a big old Go Blank is going to be able to do a lot of work here as well, take out 2 more cards in the hand, and Akira's got a lot of riches here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Akira's pretty much got basically everything you could possibly want. We had
Except land 4.
Yeah, no land number 4, but we do end up seeing a Voice of Victory, which is going to prevent some of that interaction coming out from Edward's side of the deck. That is going to basically shut off any of those fatal pushes or instant speed removal, and Enduring Innocence is actually a very difficult card for the Waste Not deck to deal with.
Yeah, you need an exile effect to be able to get rid of it, which at least in Pioneer is not nearly as common as it is in Standard because we're not getting stuff. You know, Anoint's Affliction isn't a really big one unless it's coming out of the sideboard, and yeah, other than that, like, there isn't many ways in Black that folks are typically dealing with exile removal. However, you know, tokens, they tend to do a good beatdown, and Voice of Victory's added a great beatdown angle to this this list as well. Having a creature come out on 2 that's applying a lot of pressure, basically attacking for 3 every turn.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that these mobilized tokens will enter the battlefield and then trigger the Enduring Innocence every turn that this Voice of Victory lives, and needing to kill a 1/3 isn't the greatest feeling in the world, but Akira already has Edward down to 10. His deck is normally more of a little bit of a controlling shell, but it's doing its best aggro impression right now.
Yeah, I think he caught wind of what Edward was up to.
Probably that turn 2 Waste Not.
Yeah, probably. And oh god, I love this card. I wish it was. I wish we had more time to play with it. But oh, nice. At least we do have a blocker here. This one with Death Touch. So first we got a Bandit's Talent, forcing your opponent to discard two cards unless they discard an All-Man card on the first level. The farther levels we can talk about in a bit. However, we do have a Gifted Aetherborn. Great blocker here, Death Touch, Lifelink, exactly what you want in this situation. And right now, we have a lot of known information, such as Akira does not have any removal in hand. So this guy's just going to do a lot of work, and notably, this blocks the Voice of Victory very effectively.
Yeah, but the Overlord of the Mistmoors being impended here by Akira is going to present a little bit of a challenge for the Waste Not deck to deal with. There are no flying blockers unless that Gifted Aetherborn has learned to jump in the meantime. So these 2/1 flying insects here do present basically a 5-turn clock, maybe a little bit less if Akira is able to find one of those removal spells he's looking for.
Yeah. You know, it's at least something. I think Edward probably is going to also keep the Gifted Aetherborn back on defense. I don't think there's any good reason to attack in when he could be taking a lot more damage on the way back. Mutavault coming down is also a nice blocker, at least. You know, possibly trading with one of the other creatures. And yeah, interestingly enough, the deck that's been drawing a lot of cards every turn has no cards in hand. And the deck that has, you know, not been doing as many cards. Oh,
wow. You don't normally see Archfiend of the Dross out of the Waste Not deck.
This could be a Demon's Waste Not deck that's also playing Annex on 3 to get additional cards instead of some of the other major payoffs in the deck. So yeah, Archfiend, you know, Demons has made a huge comeback in Standard, so why not try it here in Pioneer, you know?
Yeah, and okay, we have Archfiend of the Dross hitting the table. That means this Gifted Aetherborn's going to get aggressive. Akira looking like he's going to trade off. The Enduring Innocence will come back as an enchantment and just kind of blocking away one of those tokens. So that gets rid of the ground blocker, but most importantly, Akira's going to take a little bit of damage from that Archfiend of the Dross trigger as well.
Yes, so he took 4 but gained 2 off of the Innocence, so we are at a nice 18. That Archfiend is a great blocker for flyers, but also needs to get feisty in order to, not kill Edward.
Yeah, pretty much. Otherwise, Edward's going to lose the game without Akira having to do anything whatsoever. So it looks like a passing of the turn here from Akira after just slamming down a little bit more on his side of the battlefield. That is just going to be... Well, there should be an oil counter coming off of that Archfiend of the Dross, but a second Go Blank is going to hit a Carrot Cake and a Fable the Mirror Breaker coming out from Akira's side.
All right, we get an additional 2 cards. I believe we... okay, I think now we're getting it.
Yeah.
Cool. Archfiend. Kind of important. You can't forget about that trigger because it is a detrimental trigger. Just making sure that the Archfiend does count down on its oil counters. Given that, once you're out of oil counters, you lose the game.
And we have Eric leaning forward a little bit in his chair, getting aggressive with his deck. So we're just going to scooch him over here on the player cam for a second. But yeah, this combination of the Waste Not with the Go Blank is the main sort of engine for this deck. And now that we've been able to draw some cards, looks like, Akira did wind up just buying Yorion at the end of last turn. So we're going to Thoughtseize that one away. That should get us a zombie. And now we have a couple of blockers on the ground, but there's still nothing to get in the way of these 2/1 flyers. But Akira's going to do some work for Edward here. He's just going to wind up blocking and taking 2 damage anyway.
Yep, and we also did level up the talent as well, so what that's going to do is it is going to, if Akira has 1 or 0 cards in hand at the beginning of his upkeep, it's going to lose an additional 2 life, help speed up the clock just a bit, but we are cracking the Carrot Cake to gain some life, make a guy, draw a card, all that stuff, so if we are able to produce another token before the trigger goes off, it does not look like we were able to, so that should be a quick change of life totals as well. We are getting the tokens coming in from the Voice of Victory, given that we have tapped all of our creatures, and that's on 8 coming through?
Yeah, I was going to say this is 3, 4, 5, 6,
Okay,
6 altogether, going down to 4 here on Edward's side. This is an interesting second Overlord. Okay, well, that's going to be a lot of tokens on the battlefield. That's an interesting interaction here with the Archfiend and the Voice of Victory. Archfiend of the Draw says whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 lives. So these mobilized tokens should be doming Akira for 4 every turn.
Yep. So they're getting caught up on all of the stuff going on. Those mobilized tokens should be going away, which should put Akira down to 13. Oh goodness, this is getting to be a little scary for our Waste Not player over here.
I did see a Settle the Wreckage in Akira's hand too, so if Edward wants to get aggressive, Akira can just remove the only creature on his side of the battlefield. What we really need right now is like Extinction Event on even.
Extinction Event on even, or frankly even an Aklazot's Deepest Betrayal can come in really huge here, given that it has the lifelink.
Yeah, but then we're still going to die to our Archfiend.
No, because the at least it'll put enough pressure.
Ooh, Invoke Despair. I like this one.
Okay, cool. So we are gonna sacrifice, the Overlord that's been impending more. We do get 1 card drawn, and Akira should now. Looks like we did end up missing those triggers on the Voice of Victory tokens dying, but we do lose the 2 life here, down to 15. Hopefully that card does give Edward some life here.
Let's see what it is. It is
a Fatal Push.
Just a Fatal Push on one of the tokens. Kira's going to use the Fountain Port to sacrifice it in response. Just draw a card off of that. And now Edward's a bit in the danger zone here.
Yeah.
Has to swing in. Akira's just going to chump block, and then if I do the math correctly, Edward's just dead on the crackback.
Yeah, Edward is pretty dead on the crackback. Yep. Nice and easy. Pretty clean here.
Make these 2 tokens. There's 3 right there, and then 5 with that insect. So Edward is going to wind up taking lethal damage there, and just has a land and a Bitter Triumph in hand, which wasn't going to be doing anything quite good that game. And Akira's going to go up 1-0 in this best of 3 match.
Yeah, so definitely that's one of the really powerful things about this Boros tokens deck is that it can pivot into this beatdown plan pretty quickly, given that it, like, the way it's trying to control the board is just put a bunch of chump blockers in the way, protect your life total, and then just overwhelm your opponent with advantage. If, you know, your deck ends up just having a bunch of creatures and your opponent's not really putting up much defense themselves, you can just get really feisty and get aggressive. I definitely think the start with the Voice of Victory was a big one there because, you know, just being able to crack in for 3 every turn, starting on turn 3, especially when you're on the play, is huge.
Oh yeah, and just Akira just kind of having the go-to like best start you can have against these Waste Not decks, because one of the worst things that Waste Not has going against it is the fact that it is very bad against resolved permanents that are not creatures. You need to really hit like those enchantments and things in Akira's hand early on with your Duresses and your Thoughtseizes. And what we saw with Edward was he had a slower start where it was a turn 2 Waste Not, turn 3 Go Blank, but then he wasn't drawing into the things to get rid of the impending overlords, to get rid of the enduring innocence that already hit the battlefield, and that Invoke Despair wound up coming basically on the turn the writing was on the wall already.
Yeah, and what, we might see a Withering Torment coming out of the sideboard. That's really like kind of what the only other answer to enchantments that's going to probably be pretty popular at this point.
Yeah, you could feed the Swarm if you don't mind taking a ton of damage, but with the way that Edward's deck is configured, having a lot more of the creature-centric package in the main deck, if you're running on Holy Annex on top of that, you're probably not looking at taking like 3 or 4 from a removal spell.
Yeah. You'll take your 2 and just call it a day.
Yeah. I will take 2. I will not take any more. I will pay an extra mana to ensure that. But from Akira's side, I know with Akira's deck, since it is a little bit more of a controlling matchup, we're probably going to wind up seeing some of the less effective spells, like a lot of those board wipes and some of like the Settle the Wreckage type effects coming out of his deck. And we are going to wind up seeing those Bezas and those things that affect the battlefield coming in if Edward is going to be removing some of that removal, since it's mostly going to be tokens he's dealing with.
Yeah, Beza's an interesting card in this matchup just because you're only really ever going to be getting, like, it's a great 4 or 5 body, but you're only really going to be getting a card off of the Beza when it enters. Other than that, you're probably going to have as many, if not more, lands, creatures. You're the deck that's putting creatures on the board, which also probably means your life total is a little higher.
Yeah, so Edward's not really going to be putting up the pressure on Akira, but being on the play, there's always the dreaded turn 1 discard spell, turn 2 Thoughtseize, turn 3 either double discard spell or just straight up go blank. That basically what the Waste Not deck is going to want to see. But from Akira's side, he's basically want to be able to just play like a tapped land and have multiple 2 and 3 cost spells that are basically going to be redundant to the hand disruption that Edward is going to throw out there.
Yep. And I wonder if we'll see any Liliana of the Veil as well. Ooh, I think I see that Path of Peril and a Planeswalker of some kind.
I'm assuming that's a Liliana.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looked like Gal Gadot right there. That Liliana just looked, the new Liliana art. Oh, okay, well that one's going away. But that new Liliana art, that's Gal Gadot. Like you can't.
I mean, now that you mention it, yeah, I definitely see it. Definitely see it. Gosh,
Netflix series one.
Yeah, I think I've maybe used that art on Liliana for like 2 weeks, and then I got the borderless, and now I even have the really nice retro frame version of Liliana. Oh gosh, they did a really good job with adapting Planeswalker text to the older border. You know, it's not the old border Planeswalkers that they had back in that secret lair where it was a full-on meme. They actually did a really good job of making this look really presentable, and it just the old border just looks so clean with this OG Liliana the Veil art too.
Yeah, the Steve Argyle art is unmatched in my mind. As much as I enjoy the new updates to the artwork, still has a secret place or a special place in my heart there. But it looks like turn 1 is no hand destruction from Edward and just a tap land here from Akira. Turn 2 is going to be the Waste Not, so things are starting on a little bit similar to game number 1, but now that Edward is on the play, he will have the ability to potentially do something else, unless there's going to be some enchantment hate coming out from Akira's side.
I mean, eating an exercise with your 2 mana play is probably, you probably feel better about that than the exercise hitting your 4 mana play.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but when the 2-mana play is your engine, and yeah, you had the Go Blank in hand too, that's got to feel a little bit bad, because now Akira can just kind of discard whatever he wants, and it looks, what would we have gotten here? I'm thinking, it looks like just mana and probably a zombie. I think that was an Enduring Innocence that got pitched.
Looked like it.
Okay, so maybe you're not too upset about just hitting 2 mana and a 2/2 against the token deck.
But Voice of Victory, that's you know, friend's already back, and let's see if we're able to get rid of it early, or yes, we are. Good old Fatal Push, nice and trusty, but we...
The sorcery speed Fatal Push.
I mean, it could be instant speed, it's just on your turn.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so there was the Fatal Push. We're going to get the activation of the Mutavault, and Edward's going to get a little frisky in the red zone there, decides to swing in for 2. Kira just plays land go, which is very much signaling something like the Wandering Emperor coming down, but Edward, yeah, no heed for that, going to swing the Mutavault on in, and there's the Emperor.
Yeah, I was a little bit curious, given that we already have Field of Ruin in play. It was already going to be taken care of, and actually making the token 2 blocks, that way we don't go all the way down to 1, being okay, you know, life total is not going to matter that much, so the 2 life isn't really a big thing here, but losing a land's pretty rough.
Oh, okay, we have a follow-up Sheoldred's Edict, so that may have been something that Edward was baiting out there.
Yeah, very, very solid, able to take care of things right away. Kira's still on 2 cards. Edward's on
Edward's
1.
on 1 though. Yeah, I think Edward took that mulligan too. And oh, there's the Beza coming out here from Akira.
That adds more to it. We're going up to 22. Granted, not drawing a card, but hey, life and a 4/5 is not a terrible thing at all in this situation, especially when your opponent is just like land go, land go, land go.
Yeah, Edward is just going to play a swamp and passing the turn. Unfortunately, there are 5. Ooh, I love this, by the way. Okay, there are 2 matching swamp arts, but there's 4 different arts on Edward's side of the battlefield. This is the man after my own heart.
All of them borderless, too.
I mean, if you got the artwork, you might as well flex it. But if that's another land in Edward's hand, he's going to be a little bit upset. Looks like Thoughtseize is the draw for a turn after Akira swung in for 4 with the Beza. Just going to wind up Thoughtseizing ourselves down to 14. We see Sunfall, the Yorion that was just bought, and a March of Otherworldly Light. Just a plethora of riches for Akira's side. And Edward, do you have something to follow that up? Or is that just going to be passing of the turn?
Yep, it looks like we are back to Akira, swinging in for another 4, down to 10. And Innocence off the top is pretty solid here.
Ooh, that's just going to be a lot of card draw if Akira finds any of his token generators. Ooh, looks like Edward found something, though. Sheoldred the Apocalypse, but there is a March of Otherworldly Light staring him in the face.
Yep, and so we can just, yeah. We're going to exile the Sunfall because at this point it's not really the best card. Just, you know, 3 mana, get rid of Sheoldred before the draw, and we're going to be getting even more coming through. 1 turn clock left for Edward, 1 card in hand. Let's see if we can pull off a really nice top deck here.
Is there some sort of wrath effect here? I mean, we have even and odd, so Extinction Event isn't it. It would have to be...
I think we saw in the opener a Path of Peril that we haven't seen leave his hand.
Yeah, it's just Thoughtseize and a swamp there. So yeah, that was from the mulligan, I think. Akira, just with a quick little pounding of it, Akira's going to take this matchup 2-0. Despite the fact that he says he doesn't like this matchup, Akira may have just played us enough to have figured it out.